Hi everyone, happy Easter. Today I thought I will talk about the history of Easter and all our traditions. So back in time, the Irish Easter was a time of religious contemplation, fasting, feasting and dancing. The Christian festival of Easter celebrates the torture and death of Jesus and especially his resurrection. With links to the Jewish Passover, most people unknowingly celebrate its pagan influences, and these are the bunny, which symbolises fertility, and coloured eggs, which symbolise the sunlight of spring. So it took over 300 years before Christians established the date of Easter as the first Sunday after the full moon following the March equinox at the First Council of Nicaea in 325 CE. The pagan Easter, however, was celebrated long before Christianity and went by many names. The ancient Saxons in Northern Europe worshipped the goddess Easter at the time of the spring equinox. The goddess Easter represents the sunrise, springtime, and fertility, the renewal of life. Pagan Anglo-Saxons made offerings of coloured eggs to her at the spring equinox. They placed them at graves, probably as a charm of birth. Only later did Christians pilfer the name for themselves and graft their religion onto a pagan celebration. Holy Week used to be a full day, 7-day period of denial, where black tea, dry bread, potatoes with no salt. No, they were allowed salt, but no butter, and porridge. And some families denied themselves anything other than dry bread and water. The fast was so tough, coming after a 5-week period of fasting during Lent, that the church authorities had to relax it to 2 days in the mid-19th century. So since medieval times, all baked bread on Good Friday was marked with a cross in remembrance of Christ's crucifixion on this day. The custom still survives in the hot cross buns and Irish soda bread that we eat in modern times. They're always marked with a cross. Easter sundry traditions were a ceremony known as whipping the herring, where a dead fish, the poor thing people had been eating during Lent, was paraded with its head on a pike and carried through the streets as people eagerly anticipated their upcoming meat feast. It was then discarded in the waters. On the way back from the river, the procession would carry a dead spring lamb dressed in ribbons and flowers. This tradition carried on until the mid-20th century. Children also had their own Irish Easter traditions known as the Clue Dog, where they called to neighbours and family to collect gifts of eggs, potatoes, cakes, bread and butter and milk or flavoured water. Then all the children would gather in a field to enjoy their feast. Other Easter traditions were rolling hard-boiled eggs down the nearest hill, giving roast potatoes to any beggar who called at the door, and a competitive cake dance dating into medieval times. The Easter lily is a powerful symbol of peace in Ireland. It is traditionally worn over the Easter period as an act of remembrance for people who died fighting for their country. It originated in 1925, created by members of Cumann na mBan, which was an all-female organisation in support of the Irish Republican Army. It used to be sold in front of churches on Sundays in the period before Easter as a way of raising money to help support the families of the men that had died in Ireland's fight for independence. It would then be worn as a mark of respect for those who had lost their lives and also as a sign of hope and peace for the future. The Easter lily is a fitting symbol for Irish nationalists as it blooms in the springtime, which coincides with the anniversary of the 1916 Rising. So there you have it. That's our Irish Easter traditions. Today we have egg hunts and we give eggs as gifts and we decorate eggs and still have the big feast. Today I'm missing me mammy's Easter celebrations, but happy Easter and stay safe everyone.